Some days, as hard as you try, it's just hard to know how to keep going. If you're anything like me, when you feel lost and don't know what you're doing or how to process your own emotions, sometimes media feels like the only way you can try to understand your own brain. In as short as an hour and a half, a movie can loosen the knots the world creates in you by immersing you in someone else's story. You get to breathe out a sigh of relief at the end because you know that by the film's conclusion, the protagonist will have figured out everything that felt impossible at the very beginning. You can turn off the TV, look around, and feel like suddenly life is possible again. Here are 5 movies I watch when I'm sad or looking to be motivated.
Yeah, sorry, everyone, this is Ian.
A Greek woman named Tula Protokollos comes to terms with her heritage and cultural identity as she struggles to get her family to accept the man of her dreams after she falls in love with the non-Greek Ian Miller. Yes, this is called My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but to me, growing up, this movie was my representation. From random unproven home remedies, a bunch of cousins and family always down for a party, to a dad who believes that everything is connected back to their own culture.
Now, give me a word. Any word, and I show you how the root of that word is Greek. Okay?
This movie was peak Mexican culture for real. Tula is such a lovely protagonist who takes her life into her own hands with an entirely self-motivated transformation. Like, yes, a good portion of the movie is about Tula and her relationship with Ian, but her transformation into a self-assured woman who chooses herself is one of the most beautiful parts of the movie to me. I think anyone who grew up in an immigrant household understands the complexity of honoring your culture and all that came before you while making room for your own values and traditions. The way she takes charge of her education and career, and her choosing to put herself out there and take a seat with all the other girls instead of just shying away because she's scared they won't accept her, is such a powerful move that most people are scared to make. Plus, the fact that she does this all while embracing her curly hair, I just love to see it. Anyway, I am just so glad that they made just one movie and never revisited this story with any unnecessary sequels years later, right?
Yeah. Ian is a vegetarian. He doesn't eat meat.
He don't eat no meat?
No, he doesn't eat meat.
What do you mean he don't eat no meat? Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I make lamb. Come. 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 Dance.
In 1987, after 13-year-old Jenna Rink makes a wish on her birthday to grow up, she miraculously finds herself waking up the next day in 2004 as a 30-year-old fashion editor. As someone who is nauseatingly nostalgic and self-reflective, of course I love the movie about a girl who spent too much of her time wishing her life away instead of actually living it. This movie is a must-watch when I need to remind myself that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I can't just keep asking myself when now exists. It's really easy to bank on this put-together future version of ourselves, but how will we ever get there if we're not actively creating that life now? Look, is the confidence that this formerly 13, now suddenly 30-year-old exhibits a bit unrealistic considering how much stake she was putting into her popularity and likability? Sure. But I do think this movie does teach us a wonderful lesson that as long as you're as cute as Jennifer Garner, you could probably get away with just about anything as long as you do it with a smile. No, but truly, humor aside, this movie has such heart. The scene where Jenna comes back to her childhood home and the way her parents accept her with open arms even after all the hardships is so beautiful to see. To have Jenna, now an adult woman, crawl into bed with her parents during a thunderstorm is such a lovely reminder that no matter how old we get, it's not childish to need people. And you can actually create the life you want. Just let yourself enjoy the current moment and don't be in such a rush to grow up and wish it all away.
I'm sure a disciplined woman such as yourself has a very useful purpose for this money.
I'm just gonna blow it.
Reserved and introverted Georgia Bird is left shocked when she is hit with a life-altering diagnosis. Determined to live life to the fullest, she decides to blow her life savings on one last luxurious European holiday. Queen Latifah absolutely kills it in this movie. Every time I watch this movie, I'm so emotional over the way that everyone just falls in love with Georgia when they meet her. To see her growth from this shy saleswoman who's too afraid to make any decisions for herself to becoming her authentic self makes it feel possible for me to do the same. I'm not always introverted, I'm not always shy, but sometimes fear, guilt, shame, and embarrassment can feel like it gets so in the way of me living my own life that I feel like I'm missing it. but the way she dives headfirst into the rest of her life when she only thinks she has weeks to live delivers such a powerful message about not waiting for tomorrow to start enjoying life. Fear is such an overwhelming emotion to live with, but this movie shows us that we are all filled with such a bright light, and it's such a shame that it takes most of us so long to ever see that. This movie speaks to that soft part inside of you that asks, if I was my full and authentic self, would people still like me? And remind you that, yes, as cheesy as it sounds, people weren't lying when they said that being yourself is your greatest superpower. This is such a warm blanket of a film and exactly the sort of thing I watch when I need that motivation to dust off my own book of possibilities and to-do lists and actually live my life instead of spending every moment too scared to take a leap. In Brittany Runs a Marathon, after an eye-opening doctor's visit, a young woman decides to make positive changes in her chaotic life by training for the New York City Marathon. Brittany Runs a Marathon was an unexpected watch for me the first time I saw it, and the way it exposed the absolute hell out of me was astounding. There's nothing I love more in a movie than a flawed main character, and Brittany can be a doozy. Like, yeah, it sucks to see Brittany lash out at the people around her, but it also hurts when you watch her do it because a part of you understands why she's doing it. I don't think there's a single person in this movie who she doesn't pick a fight with just because she's scared to let someone take care of her. And yeah, let that be a call out to the part of you that's too afraid to let someone else hold you. The messiness of Brittany's character, along with her dedication to make positive change in her life, is inspiring yet so relatable, because not all of us are taught that we can and should want more out of life. A lot of the time it feels like the world is telling us to settle, but you don't have to. Watching this movie is a reminder that, oh yeah, free will exists. I could run a marathon if I want to, or whatever your symbolic marathon is. It's not always going to feel easy, in fact most times it probably won't. Brittany goes through a lot of setbacks in this movie, and even though she's stubborn, mean, and frustrating at times, she's ultimately able to get through it and choose herself time and time again, and realize that loving yourself also means trusting that other people can love you through the ebbs and flows of life. Evelyn is a stressed out laundromat owner who's just trying to do her taxes, but as an unknown force wreaks havoc through the multiverse, the fate of the world is left in her hands as she must learn to fight back by connecting with the lives she could have led. A recent gem, there are so many reasons to love this movie, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you half of them, but I'm going to anyway. The first time I watched this movie, I literally had no idea what it was about and went in with no context other than Stephanie Hsu was in it and I had loved her in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. But then this movie took what was supposed to be a simple mid-afternoon solo date and instead broke my brain in the best way. I think everyone can find something to take away from this movie. In Joy's story, my heart aches at the honesty depicted as the queer daughter of immigrants. Knowing the heartbreaking disconnect and miscommunication that comes from living separate life experience that the other will never understand. But also, feeling seen as someone who struggles to live within all the what-ifs of my life, who is currently in a period of mourning an old version of myself as I make room for the new. There's some sort of comfort in knowing that even if I'm somehow the worst version of myself out of every possible timeline, this life is still worth living for. Wei-Min Wang is also in particular just such an important character to me. There is so much before this that had already cemented this movie as one of my favorites, but Wei-Min's quote about naivety hit such a core of my being I didn't even know was looking to be uncovered.
我总是看到事情好的一面，那不是因为我天真，而是必要，而需要。这也就是我的生存之道。
Sometimes I grapple with my own optimism, especially with the current state of the world. How do we let ourselves believe that other people are good if so many people are out there doing bad things? I struggle to let myself be happy amidst all the chaos sometimes, but I also understand that people don't have to suffer to be worthy of love. That hardship, tragedy, pain, and suffering don't have to and should not exist, and I can still hold on to the possibility that one day things will be better. Hold on to the possibility that there are already good things out there unfolding today. So on days like this where I feel like nothing will ever get better and I'm trapped in this cocoon, I remind myself that this chrysalis stage does not mean stagnation, and going through it all, even the moments where I feel stuck, is all necessary for a complete metamorphosis. Even now, when I look back at my life, I'm most proud of the moments where I gave myself the chance to choose joy. Whether I've been terrified, embarrassed, or even just depressed, I've never regretted the moments where I've chosen to embrace joy. Emotions are layered and complex. You're allowed to feel whatever you feel for however long you need, but if you have a moment where something makes you laugh or you get to spend time with a loved one, no matter how small, allow these moments to come to you. Allow the reminder that all feelings are impermanent free you and empower you. You know what it's like to feel like you'll never know happiness again in the midst of sorrow, but you also know what it's like to come out of the darkness and embrace light again. Instead of worrying about when the sadness will come back, focus on and look forward to those next moments of joy. Also, yeah, most of these movies are rom-coms from the early 2000s. This is what I grew up with and what I would find myself watching in my teens and early adulthood whenever I needed to feel better. But I can be a pretentious film snob like anyone else, so if you want a more curated movie lineup, let me know. Or if you have a recommendation, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear your faves. Till next time.